fishing. People, when you're in the mood, let's go fishing. Well, it's just me and you. Head on down to the fishing hole. Grab your hat, get your pole. Let's go fishing when you're in the mood.
Canadian Sport Fishing, brought to you in part by Rapala, premium fishing gear crafted from experience. Crown, protect, maintain, save. Ray Marine Electronics, Ray Marine, simply superior. Fast Fender, the easiest way to attach and adjust your fender. Easy Docker, docking made easy. Nice hit. Come on, stay on there. That fish was right by a boulder. Good sized fish. You know, it's kind of nice getting him on a bait caster. It's very stiff. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to pin one of the power poles down. So nice to have them. There's one, and you know what? I'm going to pin the other one too, just so we don't move from this spot. Perfect. I guess it's a little deeper over there. Now this guy's tagged kind of neat. I got to be careful though. I'm going to try just grab, oh, that's a good sized fish. It's got to be really careful because I can feel that hook. If he thrashes, you got to make sure you got a good hold. Good. Look at, isn't that a gorgeous fish? Oh, they look so beautiful. Look at, gorgeous. Okay. Gently put him in the water. I don't want to hold him out too long. And I'm going to extend him out. Look at how clear this water is. Such a vibrant fish. I'm going to extend him out, and you know what? He's probably going to, look at, disappear. You know, this is kind of neat. We're fishing the shallow bay. We're actually looking for spots for pike here at Lac Beauchene. And we came into this, you can see the grass over there. If you're really quiet, you can hear the frogs in the background. It almost sounds like somebody hitting a guitar string. And we went back there, couldn't get far back, but we saw smallmouth coming out. And it looked like there was a lake on our chart, but we couldn't get to it. So I was casting this crankbait. It's a dancer. It's kind of like a tail dancer, but this is the dancer. And it's a small one, so it only goes down to about, I'm gonna say 8 feet on an average cast. If you cast farther or you troll with it with a long line, it'll probably go down to 10, 12 feet. But it seems to be an ideal lure to locate like smaller pike, you know, pike that are in the, I'm gonna say 3, 4 to maybe 10-pound range. And of course, if you come across a smallmouth. So what we'll do here, you can actually see the shoreline. See all the boulders that are here? I was just casting to the boulders on the way out, and that fish just smacked it. You know, this week we have the pleasure of coming back to La Reserve Beauchene in Quebec. It's about 4.5 hours from Toronto. I haven't been here since 1980s, late 80s. I'm giving away my age now, or early 90s. And I used to come up sometimes with groups of fishermen, up to 14 or 18 fishermen, and we would have a blast here. The nice thing about La Reserve Beauchene is that you can get a full American plan, or you can get a European package. You know, so you can have all the meals done for you in their beautiful dining room, breakfast, and have lunches to go. Or you can cook your own stuff, bring up your steaks and have some fish. The one policy that they have here at Lake Beauchene is that you're only allowed to take certain fish for eating out of the main Lake Beauchene. If you fish any of the outpost camps, the fish have to be released. It's catch and release. It's right over. What a spot for a smallmouth to be in. Right at the mouth of that channel. Beautiful smallmouth. We were just going to go up this channel, but the water was too shallow, so on the way out there's a bit of a point here. I just made a cast on the other side, and guess what? Kabam! Nice smallmouth on the crankbait. I think I'm going to grab just the line or the crankbait. That crankbait's been doing good for me. Got to be very careful. That line is around my hand. I'd have a good grip on them. You know, I tell people a lot of times when holding a bass, not to put pressure. You know, I've got my left hand underneath its belly, so I'm supporting it, but you should never like hold it like this. Try to hold it like horizontal with its spine bent. So it's okay to hold it so that it's hanging straight down like that, the way I'm holding it there. But try not to bend its vertebrae or support it just like that. Gorgeous smallmouth. Okay, Mr. Smallmouth, you get to swim back out there and look for something to eat. Okay, come on, you beautiful thing. Whoa, what a nice release. You know, I love to use crankbaits, especially for bass, but you know, they can be really picky. So for example, this week I found that using the right size crankbait, because we were fishing mostly in shallow water, one that only went down about 5-6 feet worked really well, and one that was only about 3 inches long. I tried some really bright colors like fire tiger and chartreuse, like the one that I have on my right, but the fish actually got spooked by it. I didn't get one serious follow or one hit. As soon as I put on the smaller one that was a natural color, like a perch color, I had fish follow and then they smashed it. Now the one thing you got to be careful is they have very sharp hooks. And these crankbaits, especially in the smaller size, when they're kind of, one is hooked in the side of the mouth and one outside, you got to be very careful when you grab the fish. At La Reserve Beauchene, if you bring your own boat up, it's ideal because they have a really good boat launch, they have a great docking system, and they have these fixtures that keep your boat away from the dock. They're like rods, big fishing rods, you know, with lines that you attach to your cleats, and it keeps the boat away from the dock. And whenever you want to go into your boat, you just grab one of the lines and pull the boat close. So you don't even have to have bumpers onto your boat to protect it from the dock. You know, I'm standing up here right at the bow because I can see the boulders much better from up here. And you don't have to worry about me. This is solid aluminum. It's all welded. And we're eventually going to get sea deck all over here and on the floor, but it hasn't come in yet. But look at the stubs that's on the bottom of these the guano shoes. It's perfect for grip, and they're quiet. And I'm safe and extremely comfortable. There's a nice fish. Yeah, Mr. Bass. I don't know if he's done here. Let me try to lift him up. It's almost like fishing in salt water because the water's so clear. Look, gorgeous. Just gonna launch him out. And there he goes. Closed captioning is brought to you by K100. We make water burn. So tight to the bank. You know, with the bait caster, I like to have the drag cranked right down so that when the fish hits, you get a really good hook set. So this guy couldn't really pull a lot of line out. He was doing circles around the boat. You know, all these bass are decent size here at Lake Beauchene. Look, hook just slightly in the mouth, right there. Okay, look at that. Isn't that a gorgeous smallmouth? You know, you can get these all day long, all season long here at La Reserve Beauchene. I've been coming here since like the late 80s and early 90s. And I think the fishing is the same or better. You know, when you get beautiful sized bass like that, they're just gorgeous. Can you appreciate how clear this water is? I'm gonna get down on my knee to bow for this fish. Look at, he's just gonna take off right away. Aren't those gorgeous stripes? Watch. Bye-bye. I'm a cranky fisherman. I mean, cranking fisherman, not cranky. I'm usually, you know, upbeat most of the time, optimistic, but I love casting lures. I guess I want to be busy. I'm a little bit excessive compulsive. I love casting crankbaits. I love casting twitch baits. I love casting topwater, especially when I'm fishing for smallmouth bass, because they like to hit, run, and jump. Wow, what a jumper. Came out of that wood. Don't go in there, don't do it. He's got that crankbait just on the side of his face. Amazing. He's still got tons of power. Man, he hit it as soon as it hit the water, and that sometimes happens with smallmouth bass when you're casting to shorelines. Look at him. Pretty healthy fish. I mean, they're all healthy here. They're gorgeous. In this clear water, it's amazing. You can actually see a lot of the fish hit. Okay, put my pliers back and watch. I'm gonna just drop him in and he's gonna take off. Like a bullet. I wanted to share a device with you that's called Fast Fender that makes it really easy to adjust your rope when you're putting fenders on your boat. This is the device right here. You can see that it's made out of a durable plastic, and it has one hole at the bottom for your rope to go in. The rope goes through the actual fast fender, and then there's teeth on the other side that grab the rope, and you can adjust the length of the rope when you're setting your fender. Let me demonstrate it for you. So what I have here is a traditional fender, or some people, as they call them, a boat bumper. And I have the fast fender. You can see the rope is through it. And what I've done, at the other end, I've made just a half-inch knot. So if the rope does slip, there's no way that the fast fender is going to allow the line to go through, because the knot is there. Okay, so you can see the line goes through the middle of it. So look, all I do is pull on it, and it locks it into position. It can't move. Now watch how simple it is. I'm going to just drop the fender in the water, and obviously it's too low now. So what I'm going to do is take one of the hooks and put it in the center of my cleat, then take the other hook, put it through, and you can see that it's on there firmly. Now look, here are the cleats. I pull back and it's loose. If I want that bumper to be up at the right height, all I do is pull it up. In this case, it's going to be pretty high. It's going to be almost touching the knot. And all I do is take the rope and pull it into the actual cleat or teats that are there. That's it. It's adjustable. If I need to adjust the rope, all I do is pull the rope back. Look, I can lower it, pull it back in, pull it tight, locks it into place. They come in different sizes, and they come in this kind of packaging. So they're very easy to order and to get. So there's 3 different sizes. They even have a size that's designed for the cables that some of the sailboats have. So that it doesn't have this big S hook. It's actually very narrow to fit the cable. I think it's a really smart system. So because we're going to go back up to our cottage, I'm just going to lift this up so that it's at the right spot. There, I'm just going to snug it up. You can see it's the right height. I can leave it there, no problem. I can do whatever I need to do. And then when I take it off, again, all I do is loosen it, and I just slide the different eyes off like this, and I'm ready to go back, put it in the boat. No knots. You know, there's a thing that muskie and smallmouth bass have in common. It may not be their size. Muskies can go really big. But one of the things I like about muskie fishing and smallmouth bass fishing is the strike when they hit. And a smallmouth, especially if you're retrieving a lure, a smallmouth will come up to that lure and he'll crush it. It's not like a walleye that kind of nibbles on the back of the hook. They usually have both hooks in their mouth and they nail it. And when they nail it, they turn right or left and they try to go for cover. So if there's any trees in the water, you got to pull them out. If there's any big boulders, try to avoid them going around the boulders, especially if you're using lighter line. The other thing that's really important is to steer the fish. When you get them close to the boat, let them fight out because they've got so much energy. A lot of people get excited and they net a smallmouth right away, and then that smallmouth gets all caught up in the mesh, and especially if you're using a crankbait with a couple of trebles on there, it'll get all caught up, and sometimes that's not good, especially when you want to catch and release the fish. Raymarine Electronics. Raymarine, simply superior. Right by the wood. You can see that they've got so much stuff to feed around. They're all healthy. I haven't seen any with a really big belly, but they're all healthy fish. All this wood, it's almost like too much wood. But they're all, you just got to cover water. That's what I'm finding. I think when they go deeper, they'll be on humps, you know, kind of like the lake trout out in the middle of the lake. But this time of the year, they're all over the shorelines. Look at that, one hook just fell out. Oh my goodness, all that jumping. You know, I've actually caught bass where they've had the back hook in the mouth and they've jumped out of the water and like the front hook is in the mouth and you wonder how you land them. Look at, not a monster, but hey, awesome fish to catch. Especially when you're in a wilderness setting like at Reserve Beauchene in Quebec, amazing. Look at those gorgeous colors. Wow. I have 3 really good tips for you to locate smallmouth bass. You ready? Structure, break, structure, break, structure, break. Got that? So, it can be the first structure break along the shoreline, where it goes from shoreline to like 4 feet of water. Second structure break from 4 to maybe 8 to 10 feet of water. Third structure break from 10 to 20 feet of water. Early in the year, it's the first structure break. They're all along the shoreline. So don't make the mistake of, you know, if you come up here early in June and you start trolling or you fish in deeper water, 20, 30 feet, or you go to open shoals that are surrounded by 100 feet of water that are 20, 30 feet down, I would recommend start casting the shorelines. right. Oh, come on out of that wood. Come on. As my friend would say, give him a stick. Give him a stick. I thought he was just a little guy when he hit. He's not so little. He's got a little bit of shoulders. Okay, he's giving up. Come on. Come on. You beautiful thing, you. Look at gorgeous fish. Hook just lightly, not too bad. How do I look behind the fish? Pretty good? We want to give it the attention because they're so beautiful. And time for it to swim away. Yeah, there it goes. You know, one thing I appreciate, our friend Gabor Horvat, he did these tool holding things. I didn't need the pliers on that fish, but they're on Velcro, so you can hear that it's pretty good, pretty strong. Look what he did. This is an aluminum boat. This is aluminum. It's kind of nice. He even put holes in there, so in case, you know, if you get water in there, it'll drain. So I've got my pliers up here, and I've got my scissors over there. Kind of handy. So I put them at the front of the boat because most of the time I'm fishing from here. And I'll tell you, it's so nice to be able to either use the scissors to cut your line when you're doing knots and stuff, or to use the pliers to unhook a fish and release it. You know, when I'm crankbait fishing, sometimes I'll alternate between a spinning outfit and a bait casting outfit, but I really appreciate the value of a bait casting outfit because I can slow the line down with my thumb, and especially if I'm casting to boulders or I'm casting to a shoreline, I can make a much more gentle cast and allowing my lure to stop a lot slower than slamming it with a spinning rod. The only thing with the bait caster is you got to be careful if you cast into crosswind or cast into the wind when you've been used to casting with the wind. Because if you don't have your thumb to slow down the line, you can get a bird's nest. And when it comes to a bait casting outfit, I find that a 6.5 foot rod is ideal to use for them, but medium heavy action with a fast tip. Because when fish hit a crankbait, you have to respond immediately to set the hook. You know, some of the water that warms up the fastest, water along the shoreline definitely, but also shallow water, sandy areas. The sand will actually absorb a lot of the heat, and it'll warm up that water. And if you find a combination of rocks, especially small rocks, with the odd big boulder surrounded by sand, those are key areas. If you find a bay like that or a point that comes out, or in this case on Lake Beauchene, you can look sometimes in the distance because when the sand mixes with the rocky boulders on the points, it's ideal locations for smallmouth bass to feed. You might get other fish too. You might get the odd pike if there's any vegetation, or walleye even. But the smallmouth, that combination is a very good magnet. Rod Runner Canada, grab and go fishing. Oh, it's fighting good. You know what? To me, fishing never gets boring. It looks like a nice bass. He's got one hook in his mouth and one is tagged right by his pectoral fin. Let's see if I can get down here. Hopefully he's not going to try to jump. Look at this. I can pick him up by the monofilament leader. Can you see that? That's why he felt like a really big fish when he hit. There. Look at. Such a pretty fish. Gorgeous. I'm just going to get him back in the water. Okay, there you go. Bye-bye. Smallmouth bass are very curious fish. And I know from fishing them for like 40 years, especially in clear water, they can be extremely picky, whether using a crankbait or a slash bait. Sometimes they'll hit it on a normal retrieve, even a slash bait when you slash it regularly. Sometimes they'll follow it and they'll be 3 feet back, then they'll be a foot close to it. Sometimes they'll almost nudge it, but they won't hit it. That's the time to really change your presentation. And even with a deep diving crankbait that'll go down to 7 or 10 feet, if I'm casting it into 4 feet of water, I'll retrieve it slower, I'll keep my rod tip up, and if I have a follow, I'll even give that crankbait a couple of twitches, snaps with my rod to make it dart left and right. And a lot of times, that's what closes the deal. Look at that crankbait, isn't that pretty? That's a crawdad color. But you know what, in this clear water, if I was to tie my line directly to it, the fish might get spooked. So look at, this is a fluorocarbon leader. I'm running my hand up all the way to the connection. And there is my This is called, I think, ghost color, the braided line. So I used a blood knot right there. And you can see it's got very small tags on either side. And the blood knot will go through the tip guide, because on a lot of the more modern rods, the tip is very small. So if you had a swivel here, it might get caught in the tip and even break the tip. So I find that a blood knot works really well. But I also found that having a longer leader, and I don't mean really long, but at least like 2.5 to 3 feet was ideal because of the water conditions. The smallmouth bass here at Lake Beauchene are very healthy. If I had to guess the average size, I would say about 17 inches. So 16 is a small fish, 18 is pretty common. I had some 20 inches on that I lost. They would jump once or twice out of the water and throw the hook because I wasn't expecting it and I didn't see them strike. So they're very beautifully colored, and I think that's because the waters get really cold here. And even in the summertime, I think the smallmouth bass will learn to feed deeper, and they feed on very fatty bait fish. He was chasing at high speed. That's funny. I was just ripping this in because I was going to recast, and this smallmouth went berserk. Talk about a hungry bass. This is nice. I can get comfortable here. Come on, nice and easy. I'm going to try again picking it up by the leader, maybe by the lure. So you can do that sometimes. Look, so that's the one that he grabbed. Good, he's just hooked in the roof of the mouth. And I've got my pliers handy. So try to get the back one off first. This one is just in the roof. This guy was so fast. That's funny. I put on a pike lure, or at least what I wanted to target pike with, and I'm hitting nice smallmouth. Hey, that's okay. There, put that in there. Look, they are so healthy. Look at how chunky that fish is. Isn't that gorgeous? Just gonna extend him out, get him in the water. Look at beautiful colors. They are gorgeous here. Here, bye-bye, bye-bye. Catch you on the rebound. Maybe next year, I'd love to. Okay, look at all these rocks. Let's see if I can get another one here. Canadian Sport Fishing, brought to you in part by Rapala, premium fishing gear crafted from experience. Crown, protect, maintain, save. Ray Marine Electronics, Ray Marine, simply superior. Fast Fender, the easiest way to attach and adjust your fender. Easy Docker, docking made easy. Just grabbing the crankbait. I don't know if it's gonna fall off. Good sized bass. If you fall off, fall in here. Yeah. You gotta be so careful. Look at tag there and tag there.